Hello!
Okay, this is our fourth attempt tonight at streaming.
Should have
This
tested
is-
it first, huh?
This is both painful and embarrassing. No, but like the software that I downloaded decided to crash every time that it was time to go live.
Uh-huh.
And so, I don't really even see ourselves in what's supposed to be the live control
Oh,
room.
Mike Cat 23 sees us.
Really?
That's what he says.
Oh,
Can he hear us? That's the question.
that's a good one. Oh yeah. Okay.
Ireland sees us too. Yeah. Oh, that's Mike Cat 23.
That's the same person.
Uh-huh. Can anybody else see us
I have a
other than
feeling
Ireland?
that the 2 first minutes of this video will be about us making sure that technology works. It is so typical, like you never escape the war on technology. Do you remember when we were working and we had PowerPoint presentations at clients and how those PowerPoint presentations would never work? You always had...
This is the same thing. Yeah, except we have people all over the world waiting here.
Oh, I feel so bad.
Including my mother. She's waiting. She can't see us.
Well, Mike sees us, and that's fun.
But can he hear us?
I think he does.
Okay.
Okay, there's... here. I'm gonna type, do you see and hear us now? This feels very lonely. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So there's a new link there. I think someone's posted a new link.
Oh, that's because... Oh, but Ryan, you know what you're doing.
What?
You were streaming outside of the scheduled event.
But honey, I didn't know how to connect it here. So this is our option.
Okay.
So if you want people to see us, this is how it will be. So hold on 1 minute. We'll get everybody on the right phone channel number here.
This is so embarrassing.
Okay. So do you want to tell the world that we're on a different line?
Yeah. I guess.
And then we'll start.
No, but
New
it
link
works.
Okay, great.
No, but that's the link. Oh my god, this is so confusing. Oh. Okay, well, I guess we will start, and this is a good lessons learned for the future.
Hugo says, "Don't touch anything." That's good advice. All right.
my hands are up. Cool. Well,
yeah,
hello YouTube.
Hello.
It's really good to see you guys. Before we start, I am going to post this link in the comment section of the other stream, and I let Ryan tell you guys where we are and everything. Sure.
So Sophie will get to work. So it's been a really fun year, especially having everybody with our channel on board with us. So about a week ago, Sophie sailed a boat with a friend of ours from Estepona in Spain to Almiramar, Spain, where we are now and where we will winter the boat. So we're here enjoying probably the strongest winds we've had in quite a long time. So if you hear a little bit of a halyard concert going on in the background, it's because we are with a lot of boats that don't have people on them. So we're enjoying that. But yeah, so we're here, and now we've got the live stream up 15 minutes late, but thanks for bearing with us. We look forward to this.
In France, we call it the French quarter of politeness. Showing a plate is a polite thing.
Right. We did that. Yeah. We did that.
So good. Sorry again, but it's really good to hang out with you guys. It's super fun to see all those familiar faces and names.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Good. So it's been 6 months of us cruising, and yeah, I think we've learned a lot.
Yeah, that's the least you can say.
Yeah, it's true.
And yeah, today we wanted to hang out with you and share with you, all that we've learned from our first season of cruising.
Yeah.
How we've grown from it, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
and our plans for the future. So we had actually prepared a little something. Now we were all stressed out with the life not going as well as planned. But we thought that we would start by summarizing the season, talking about our plans, and then take all the questions that you guys may have. How's that?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna check out the comment section quick. This is the first time we're doing this, by the way, if you cannot tell. Ireland, Florida, UK, Kentucky, Canada. I can't watch, otherwise I'm gonna be completely focused on the comment section.
So we thought we'd talk about our experiences this year, especially for people who are interested in doing this themselves and giving some insight in what we learned the first year. So I think one of the first things we wanted to talk about is what the most memorable experience we had over this 6-7 month period was. Yeah. What was yours, Sophie?
I think you start.
Okay, I'll start. I think the most memorable experience I had was when we were coming along the Portuguese coast at night. I was on watch. Sophie was sleeping, and if you've ever been in the Atlantic Sea off Portugal, there is this phosphorescent plankton in the water, and if it gets stirred up, it glows. And so at night, I was sitting in the cockpit and looked over the side and kept hearing this whoosh, whoosh. If you've ever seen dolphins by your boat at night, it's not as cool as in the day. It's kind of creepy because there's these like animals floating by you and making all kinds of. It's a bit scary. It's a bit creepy. Anyways, so I looked over the side and I thought I saw some snakes, like slithering in the water. But what it was about 15 dolphins playing and going underneath the boat and stirring up the plankton. So they were leaving trails behind us, which was just phenomenal. And on top of that, about 5 minutes later, maybe 200, 300, 400 fish just started jumping off the bow. And what happened was the dolphins were feeding, and it went on for probably 2 hours. Yeah. I woke Sophie up at one point and was like, "You have to come up and see this." She came up. She lasted about 30 seconds. She
it was 3 a.m. I was off watch. I was going to wake up at 4 a.m. again.
It was super cool. But
it was cool.
One of the funniest parts of the story was we were telling some friends who came down the same path as us a few days later. We were telling him this story, and he said to me, "Oh yeah," and he said, "I woke my wife up too, but I didn't have her look at the dolphins. I had her look in the toilet because the toilet was all glowing, glowing in the night." And I just thought that was hilarious. So that was probably my most memorable experience this season. What was yours?
So we discussed this before, and I was gonna say getting back to Gibraltar after 3 years. But thinking about it, I think that the first night that we crossed Biscay is probably like the one strongest memory that I will have. And it's not in a bad way, because I was really scared when we crossed Biscay. It was conditions that we had never seen before. It was the first time that I was experiencing a sea state and a little stronger wind at the same time. But I think that what was cool about it is that for the first time I got to like almost touch my fear and look at it and be like, I'm scared, but I can still do this. And so at I think 4 a.m. you and I were on deck and we were operating the boat, and getting over my fear. That was I think that was a strong moment. That was pretty cool. Yeah. I feel like a much stronger person now.
That's good. Yeah, you definitely had to face some of your fears on this trip.
Yeah, but I think it's been really good. It's been a very positive experience, and I feel much braver than I probably was 6 months ago when we left.
Yeah, I think both of us have had to conquer some fears there. So. But for those out there, I just saw a comment here. Don't be terrified of Biscay. Just get a good weather window and it'll go well.
Yeah, so we actually met a lot of people who didn't even have wind crossing Biscay.
Yeah,
so I think
just motored across. Yeah,
I think that you can get pretty much all kind of conditions. But okay, so the biggest thing that has happened over the last 6 months is how dramatically our lives have changed. And well, 3 years ago, we had never been on a boat before, we didn't know how to sail, and we went from zero to buying our own boat, getting a little experience in Stockholm's archipelago, and then setting sail in June, only you and I, and living full-time, and voyaging by the wind. And I think that the change has had a very deep impact on us.
Major changes.
And that's also something that we wanted to share with you guys. What happened when we, transitioned?
It was a big transition, definitely. I think the hardest thing I had in the transition was learning how to operate on a boat schedule. That was probably the hardest thing. So I was very routine driven on land life.
Yeah, I think that what Ryan means is that there is no such thing as a schedule on a boat.
There's no such thing as a schedule. No. So it was waking up at weird hours. It was going to bed at weird hours, eating at weird hours, even in the marina and at anchor.
Yeah.
So it was very much like that. Now that's been a very hard adjustment for me.
Yeah.
I'd have to say.
In our former lives, we would wake up very early in the morning during weekdays to go to work, and we knew that we were going to be at work until 6 or 7, and then during the weekend we had time for us. And now sometimes I forget what day of the week it is.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, I think I asked you yesterday. Like, is today Monday? Like, I was all confused.
Yeah. And every day is different. And I think that part of that is because you never know how much you're going to be able to sleep during one night.
Yeah.
Like, for example, tonight in Almerima, it's a little bit gusty. The boat is quite stable.
Right now it is, yeah.
But there is a bit of a halyard thing going on. And so you never know how much you're going to be able to sleep. You never know how much work you're going to be able to get done on the boat. Always have to take advantage of good
you do
weather windows or time windows.
Yeah.
And then we work, especially you.
Yeah, I mean, when we left Stockholm, I think our original plan, just so people have some context here, was when we first thought of this project, we just wanted to take a year off and do an Atlantic circuit. So leave Stockholm, cross the Atlantic, go to the Caribbean, and then after the season come back. It was going to be a really ambitious year, about a year and a half. And we decided kind of after talking the first year, let's change things up. So part of that change was going to be us trying to work from the boat. And that has added a whole level of complexity to things. We've had to learn to organize and plan a lot better. We've also realized, I would say, that the boat is a full-time job.
Oh, yeah.
The boat was a full-time job. So sailing the boat, maintaining the boat is a full-time job. And then if you're working a full-time job or even a part-time job on the boat, it's like working 2 jobs, essentially. So it's a lot, and it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of patience by the other person.
Yeah.
So that has been some complexities. Yeah. I did see a comment just a bit ago about, do we miss land life? Which might be appropriate for this, since we've done this transition over the last...
Do you miss land life?
Do I miss land life? A few weeks ago, we went back to Stockholm and got to visit. I hadn't been back since we left. Sophie's been back a few times. And I have to say, the thing I miss most about land life is my friends. So all my friends back in Stockholm and, well, I mean, back in the US, but they've been away for a while. But that's the thing I miss the most, because you meet some incredible people while you're out cruising, but you meet them and then maybe you go your separate ways or you don't see them again for a few months. So the friendships, you develop really deep friendships while you're out cruising, but it's a little bit different than the friendships you have back home, right? So I think that's the thing I miss the most about land life.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I don't miss land life. I miss my friends, it's true, but I love how we are able to, every week, if we want, discover new places and meet new people. And, you know, we don't share the same connections with the people that we meet cruising that we do with our friends. But the people that we meet, we connect with them directly.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
And boat people are amazing people. The cruising community is a community of like really, really great people for the most part. And I've experienced that it's been really easy to make friends and meet new people. And I think it's been, for me, it's been one of the richest parts of our adventure. It's how many people we've met from different backgrounds.
Yeah, that has been really cool. We've met so many people and so many cool stories. Like, we've met a lot of young solar sailors that have just incredible stories, and then you meet older people that have very interesting stories too. And I mean, I guess we have our own interesting stories, so um, that's really fun.
Yeah.
Sophie's trying to find some questions here.
I don't have my glasses, so I don't read very well. I may get up and get my glasses.
Maybe
but
I should.
Susan asked us, what was the one thing that you were fearful choosing this life that turned out to be a blessing?
That's a good question. Sophie and I were talking before the video. I'll take it first.
Go ahead, and I'll go get my glasses.
Okay. So Sophie and I were talking before the video about things that we've learned about ourselves. And one of the things I have learned about myself on this, even in 6 months, has been my stress level. So I am a pretty stressful person and pretty stressed. I can be very focused, but there's a level of stress inside the head that's there. And it's fine when you're when you're flying for a day, or it's fine when you're climbing a mountain for 2 weeks, and it's good to help have a little stress to keep you focused. But when you're sailing for 6 months, it's there all the time. So I knew that was there. I knew that stress was there, and I was a bit fearful about how I would manage that throughout the time. But what it has done is essentially made me very aware of it and has forced me to work on it, which has been, I think, now and in the future will be a blessing. That's a long answer, but that's how I think I would answer that question.
Yeah.
How about you?
Alan suggested I'm gonna get lenses. I don't think I have. I don't. Yeah, maybe. My vision has really decreased since we started this, and I do not explain why. But the thing that I feared the most, and that turned out to be a great thing, I think. It's gonna sound really bad, but I was really afraid that you and I would argue a lot, and that like this project would break our relationship. It turned out we did argue a lot.
We do argue a lot.
But in the end, because we go through all these challenges, and we do argue a lot, I think that we also grow our relationship in ways that would have never been possible otherwise, and I think that's a blessing.
Yeah, that's a good one. We do argue a lot, but we try to come up with some techniques to manage it, so I think that's been good. I just saw a question here from Neil, and I saw a question earlier, but I don't remember.
Hello, Neil.
I don't remember who it was from, but the first person asked, they said that they were planning on buying a Beneteau Oceanus 40 and asked if there was anything specific that we suggest they look for. And Neil asked if there's anything that we would change about our boat, or if we would hold off judgment until going into the Med. And I think those two questions are pretty interrelated. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, as a matter of fact. The thing is that what I've learned from sailing our boat full-time in 6 months is that for one day that we spend at sea, we spend 7 days at anchorage or in a marina. And we use our boat a lot more as a house than we use it as a sailboat. So for me, it is very important that our boat offers like safety and performance when it's on the water. You know, I want to feel safe that my boat is going to take me from point A to point B without any safety issues. But I think that it's even more important, I mean, at least that's how it is for me, that it is a good home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're always very particular about that, and I'm on the other side of things. So, but it's good because it's a good balance, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Sophie tries to make it very homely, and I try to make it a boat that is functional in the seas. Yeah. So my answer to the question would be, if I could go back and redo the boat thing again, I think Polar Seal is a great boat, and I think she'll be a great boat over in the Med. It's got a lot of good qualities about it, especially at anchor and in a marina. One of the things I would have done differently is gone out and chartered some boats or sailed with other people on different boats to get an idea of maybe what is actually important and what versus what I think is important, because those two things differed drastically once we finally got out into some open ocean, I'd say. Yeah. So there's a big difference between day sailing, and there's a big difference between day sailing and then getting out in the Atlantic waters, going down the coast of Portugal. Yeah. So I don't know if I had the choice to do it again and I did that and chartered some boats and had some experience. I don't know if I would buy this boat again for the type of cruising that we're doing. Um, and I think there's some modifications that we are making to this boat. We've added a number of things, especially with the sail configurations in order to make it sail better downwind. Um, but it's the boat we have right now, and she's great, and we're gonna make her work for a while. Which answers another question I saw: if we're gonna keep our current boat, or if we're gonna go on a shopping spree this winter. We have no money to go on a shopping spree this winter, so
No, we could sell the boat. We
we could
sell
sell
the
it
boat
and buy a
another
new,
boat.
yeah, at the same amount. But I think we're gonna keep Polar Seal. We've put a little bit of money into her. We've put a lot of heart and soul,
a lot of love,
a lot of love, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into her. So I think we will keep her, and we will just keep making modifications to her until we decide that it's not the right boat for the type of cruising we want to do.
Because what happened is in the beginning we were very much transporting the boat from Stockholm down to Brittany. We were trying to go as fast as possible through the Baltics, through the North Sea and the English Channel. And so we were doing those 2, 3, 4 days passages. And that's when you start to realize that the cockpit is a bit exposed for night sailing, that the instruments are not set up in a way that is practical for you to check out when you're out in the element and it's cold. But now that we're entering the Med, I don't think that we're gonna push ourselves that much. I think that we're gonna
relax a little bit,
slow down the pace, go a lot more day sailing, and I don't think that we're gonna experience that our boat isn't adapted to the type of sailing that we do, because I think that this boat is a good Mediterranean boat.
Yeah, I think it was designed for Mediterranean cruising, this boat. So once we get in the Med, hopefully we'll see if that's the case.
Yeah, Philippe asks us what are our views about a more proper blue water boat such as a Halberg Rassie or a Swan?
Yeah, I have some views on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a Halberg Rassie or a Swan are more proper blue water boats than this boat, but that's not to say you can't be on blue water with this boat. And our blue water experience is so limited right now, but I do believe you could cross an ocean with this boat. You could probably lots of oceans with Beneteaus. So I don't think that's the issue. You do need to make sure you kit it out right, but you probably will be more comfortable in a boat like a Swan or a Halberg Rassie or a Garcia.
Etienne asked us, are the sailing community inclusive and open-minded? We are a gay married couple and I am a little worried about being judged. Please don't. I think that as in every community there are all type of people, but we found that, I mean, we have, that don't be afraid to be judged. You're gonna meet a lot of friends, and like we've also met people who we've thought that we would probably not be friends with, but
we've met all types. I mean, we've met gay couples that have been cruising. We've met solos. We've met just very interesting people. I think the only thing you would be maybe a little bit concerned about is the part of the world you go to. So while the cruising community may be open, maybe the part of the world you cruise to is not so open. But it just depends. So we've met them all type. I don't think I'd be worried. I would say, as Sophie always says, follow your dreams. So.
Yeah, I strongly stand by that statement. That's this sailing dream was something that felt very inaccessible for us 3 years ago, and this is the best decision I've ever made in my life. It involved a lot of compromises, sometimes a bit of pain. For me, I sold my apartment, for example, and that was very painful of a moment, and it triggered a lot of insecurities, but I think that it's one of the best things that we've done.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ryan, what was your biggest learning after this season?
My biggest learning? Well, I think I've learned to try to be a little less stressed out all the time, and so that's probably my biggest learning.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Unless I said something earlier that I don't remember right now.
Okay, I was asking this question because I think that my biggest learning,
Yeah.
and I think that it was yours too, is that when you go through a big life change, such as, I mean, in our experience, it would be moving on the boat and transitioning, doing the transition. It doesn't matter how much you're prepared. It doesn't matter how long you wait or like how you wait for conditions to be perfect. The change is always going to be chaotic. And if you're two people going through it, I mean, in our experience, we've experienced it in two different ways, which created like, yeah, a lot of adjustments, sometimes tensions, but we also had to adjust. And so I think that what I've learned is that if we were to do it all over again, I would do it sooner because I was so focused on creating the perfect conditions for us to leave that, yeah, we spent 3 years like trying to create perfect conditions, and I think we could have left a lot sooner.
Yeah, we probably could have left soon. There's never going to be a perfect day. You're always going to have one more thing to do before you leave. So the best thing to do is pick a day and just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually, I would say, our number one advice, and I think that came from Mia, who said, Mia from Eastbjorn, who said, you just need to go. You need to pick a day and leave. And if that leaving is to go 5 miles to the next marina down the way, you've left. And it's 5 miles, and you can do a little more work there, but at least you've left. And she's like, that's the hardest thing to do. Yeah. That's essentially what we did. We went 40 miles away. We stayed there for a few days and left the dock. So that's a good advice, I think. You just got to go. Yeah. What else do we have on the list? Or maybe we should find another question here.
Yes. Now let's look at
here.
questions.
This is actually a good one from Susan. Want to thank you for wearing your lifelines when sailing. I see other YouTubers make it look like it's not cool to wear them. Thank you. That's a really interesting comment. We've, especially lately with Sophie, we've had a lot of discussion about that, and we have a lot of discussion with cruisers about the safety aspect of being on a boat. Our policy is to wear life jackets all the time in the cockpit. So it's life jackets all the time in the cockpit, lifelines at night. So you have to be tethered in at night. And if anybody needs to go on the foredeck at night, they need to wake somebody else. So there needs to be somebody in the cockpit while somebody's on the foredeck. And those are the rules. Pretty simple rules. But we've gotten in a few arguments with people about those rules.
And I understand that different people have different conceptions about, how they want to do safety. But on our boat, having a life jacket on is a question of habit. We never need to think about if the other person wears its life jacket, because by default, everybody wears their life jacket. It's never a discussion when we put it back on if we remove it. And so it's more, for me, it's more for me that you wear your life jacket than it is for you, maybe.
It's a little bit of peace of mind because know the other person's strapped in. That doesn't mean something can't happen, but it's just about managing risk, and that's what we're trying to do. Somebody just wrote.
That's Antoine.
Antoine.
Bonjour, Antoine.
Yeah. He just wrote maybe a personal AIS in your life jacket. And that's actually what we have. So we have an MOB1 in both of our life jackets that are connected to our MMSI and our VHF.
And again, this is the kind of equipment that we've spent a lot of money on. It's the kind of equipment that we hope we're never going to have to use, but we have them. And it buys us essentially peace of mind, the same way that wearing our life jackets at all time buys us peace of mind.
Yeah. Then in relation to that, we just had a question from Carlos. Do you perform MOB maneuvers with guests? We have not had many guests this year.
No.
For some reason, people don't want to come sail with us. But yes, we have done that in
I probably scare them.
We have done that in the past with people on the boat. Sometimes on purpose and sometimes by accident because a fender goes over the side or something. Yeah.
Susan asks if we have a ditch bag. We do have a ditch bag. It's enormous.
You can fit the small child in the ditch bag. Yeah.
No, we have a ditch bag, and we're diligent about keeping it updated with food, with water, with first aid kits, and with all kind of equipment that we would want to have in case we have to abandon ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What else on our list? These are really good questions, and I know that we're not answering. I've seen a lot of really good ones come up here.
I know.
And the thing is, we're not going to answer them all in this segment, but I think we have all this whole thing, right?
Yes.
So we'll be able to answer them in the blog this winter, so you can all see. What else do we have on our list? Working.
Maybe we can go back. Before. I think that. Oh my God! I didn't see that there are almost 200 people with us. This is crazy.
Well, while you're looking, one question I saw just about boats was about our winches. So we do have self-tailing winches, and I try to service them once a year. I try to do all the service items at least once a year. The winches are so important to your boat. If they break, it's not a good situation. So I treat it like the engine. Service them at least once a year. We'll probably do that when we get back on the boat this spring. So, yeah.
What is the number one modification that we've made on the boat?
What is the number?
I think that the biggest modifications are the ones that are coming.
Yeah, we've got some. Well, we have one really big modification.
Well, kind of two. We're going lithium.
Yeah, we're gonna go lithium batteries. That's a pretty big modification. So I'm having to. Well, I've just started that project, but I'm having to re-engineer a few things and reconfigure some parts of the boat. And then the second piece in relation to that is we are going to add an arch onto the back of the boat, I believe. Yeah. It's kind of a new, like, just a few hours ago decision, maybe. And that's to support a dinghy and also a number of solar panels. So those are two big things that we have coming. But in the past, I think...
You've added some solar panels?
I added some solar panels on the deck. That was a huge project. And probably the biggest thing we did externally where we hired somebody in terms of cost was we got all new canvassing. So we got a whole new spray hood, sail bag, and a bimini. Mm-hmm. That was pretty big project. But that was right at the beginning, and we're super happy we did that.
That was mostly expensive.
It was just expensive. Mm-hmm. But we're really happy we did that. So it was worth the money. Yeah.
We didn't do much. Someone asked, wait. What are your plans for the future? Mark. Hey, Mark. So when we left Stockholm, I think that because we didn't know what we were doing, we didn't really set an end date to our cruising plans. We had rented out the apartment originally for 6 months. And we thought, okay, well, if we really dislike it, at least we have an exit door. So we've always been like pretty thorough about the exit door. But now that we get a taste of it, we are here to stay in cruising. And I think that what we've decided is that we're going to be spending the next 2 years in the Med.
We'll try to spend 2 years.
Yeah, but like we all know how plans go with cruising. Like you write them in the sand and the next night they're like... So plan for the future. We're going to be in the Med. I think that Ryan is like, we're heading east. And I'm more like, no, we have to go to Ibiza, Formentera, Mallorca, Minorca, Sardinia, Corsica.
I just say we're heading east towards Italy.
Yeah.
Sophie's got a whole plan. So
there are so many beautiful places to see in the Med.
Yeah, it's true. You could spend a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll discover them and we'll take you all with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, here's a good question though. I saw it comes from Eric. Eric, I think is his name. Eric asked, "Did I fall in love with Sophie at first sight?"
Oh no,
Sophie knows we're coming.
I know where this is heading.
So I was very attracted to Sophie when I first met her, and I thought she was a really fun girl to be with, and I immediately thought something was there. Come to find out, Sophie did not feel the same way. So Sophie was not attracted to me when we first met, but I somehow changed her mind.
But I love you now.
But I love you now. So
that's what's important. Mm-hmm. I also I think that we're so amateurish at this YouTube live thing Thank you guys for being there, by the way. This is a lot of fun. Richard asked, what part of your journey so far was the most difficult?
You want to do it first? We have different answers for this, I think.
No, go ahead.
So I think most of it is easy. Most of it was easier than I expected. I don't know what I was expecting in the North Sea. I expected dark, stormy, shallow North Seas the whole way, and it wasn't that way. It was pretty nice sailing most of the time. But I think the hardest part, or the scariest part, there's only one instance that I would say was hard and scary, and that was in Biscay. We had like 30 knot winds and some big seas, and we jibed in the middle of the night, and the boat spun around twice. And that was the only time that I've gone away from something actually being scared to the point where I was shaking. So that was pretty scary, and probably the hardest. That whole night was probably the hardest part of our trip, because you and our other crew member didn't sleep very well, and as captain I was trying to get everybody back onto a sleeping schedule, and so we pulled some really weird hours that night, and everyone was just tired, and then a few things happened. So, but in general, I think I made it in my mind like way worse.
Antoine crossed Biscay with us that night, actually, and he's like, yeah, I remember. At that time I was naively trying to sleep in the cabin, which, if you guys watch the video of Biscay, is the time when I'm in the cabin. I was trying to sleep, and I didn't realize how stupid it was to even be in the cabin at this point. But yeah, that was scary.
I think somebody just asked in relationship to that if we have a preventer for the boom, and we rig a preventer. We don't have a good system, but we do always rig a preventer downwind, and it saved our butts that night. So when we jibed over, it really slowed down the boom from spinning over.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, that was my moment. How about you? What's your hardest
I think that the hardest part of it was the finances.
The finances.
Yeah. So here's the background. Ryan is working absolutely full-time in different things. You teach, you have this company in Seattle that you work full-time for remotely, and you have this consultancy business. And
then the boat.
Yeah, but that doesn't make money. That eats the money.
Yeah.
And I started a business a year before we left, which was quite successful when we were in Stockholm, but my clients didn't follow me when we left. And so all of a sudden I was not making a salary anymore. And for me, that was mentally really hard. I have savings. This is how we're financing this journey. And I could have pushed to find clients and try to adjust. Instead, I decided to start a YouTube channel. But it's fine. Like, I decided to give myself a year to focus on a project which I knew was like probably never gonna make anything, but I've always wanted to create something. And but mentally, and it's been challenging to go over from having a good salary that fell every month in my bank account to like looking at my savings kind of go away more or less every month, because we never really know how much we're going to spend per month. And I think that someone asked us how much we spend every month. Where was that? Yeah, fellow nomad, how much has it cost so far to live the life that you are living? And you've made a rough estimation of how much we spend per month.
I think we do around somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 euro. I think the video is coming in a little bit blurry. 1,500 to 2,000 euro a month ish, but that includes some travel every now and then. We travel quite a bit off the boat for different job bits. What else does that include? I mean, all our maintenance items, food, marina fees. We had a lot of marina fees this year. So that's about what we've been spending, I would say. It's a little higher than we thought. Our hope is next year we
Anchor more?
anchor more and save some money. We did notice, we did have a couple months where we anchored like half the month, and it just totally changes the finances. So, yeah, I think the finance thing is a pretty important topic. We get a lot of questions about that, but we get questions about how we bought this boat, and really what we did. We didn't have cash to really just buy the boat.
No, I think that we did what a lot of people do. You sell the house. We did not sell your apartment, but we took equity out of your apartment.
Equity out of the apartment, yeah.
And that's it. It's yeah. I think that we were lucky that we could even afford to buy apartments.
We got pretty lucky with the ability to do that. We got pretty lucky. So that's how we afforded the boat. And then, as Sophie said, we have a bit of savings, and then I'm working full time. And if I wasn't working full time, we would just be living a little bit differently. I think we'd have to find ways to get the expenses down. But no, I don't have money right now to get a haircut. So that's the problem. I don't have money to get a haircut right now.
What, do you not like Ryan's hair? I actually cut Ryan's hair.
So that's a bit about the finances. We probably will do another blog post about that later on. I saw a question earlier on. Somebody asked that they saw that I was in aviation. That's where I come from, and they asked if there's a lot of carryover between aviation and sailing, and the answer is yes. There's a huge carryover, which has made my transition, I think, really easy.
Yeah.
And it was a source of contentment when we were learning to sail, because Sophie got really frustrated the first couple of days at sail training because she didn't understand why I was so much farther ahead than her, because the only thing I had to do was go and figure out what the lines did and how to make the boat go forward. I knew about weather, I knew about planning, I knew how to read a chart. And so she didn't. So she was like, and I think after the fourth day I had to sit you down and say, listen, I went to college for this stuff.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. It was like, how is he so far ahead of me? This is not okay.
But I saw in the question there too, there was a question about, does risk management carry over? And that's a really interesting question, and something I've been working on the last year is how to address risk in sailing. How to address risk in sailing, which is something that is not talked about. So I'm working on a project with myself, of course, and someone else. Yeah,
are you working on the project with yourself?
Yeah, with somebody else on trying to put together some good material for other sailors out there, boaters, on risk management, what it's all about, and how to apply it in your boating. So stand by for that. Hopefully that will be really beneficial for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we have to answer this one.
Okay.
Boating is fun, UK. 2 questions. Those are good. Are 2 people enough to carry out watch duties on long passages? Yes, absolutely. It's an adjustment. It's tiring. Typically we do 4-hour watches, and I think the reason why we do 4-hour watches is because at the beginning it was hard for us to even fall asleep. And so having a little more time when we were off watch allowed us to, at least not be stressed about how long we had. And typically we do 8 to 12, 12 to 4, that's the bad one, and 4 to 8, which also is a bad one. Yeah. But we do it. It works. I think that you and I work pretty well.
We're pretty flexible too. So if somebody's too tired, or you can tell somebody's struggling, we will change up the schedule a little bit. So we're pretty laid back with it. But yeah, I think it's definitely possible. When we crossed Biscay, we had a 3rd crew member, and that was so nice. I remember being off watch for 8 hours. Whoa, what is this? This is great.
Yeah, well, except that the first night we didn't sleep at all.
No, but the second night was just awesome. Yeah. So it does help to have
And the question number 2 is, have you ever grounded your sailboat? And I feel that we need to come clean on this one.
Well, we've never properly grounded it. Did I run it into a rock?
Let's talk about what properly grounded means.
We've never hit something with the force that causes the boat to stop moving. We did skip over a rock that was clearly charted, and the keel hit the bottom and kind of popped the boat up.
And
it scared the crap out of Sophie.
I was in the cabin when we hit the rock, and I knew what it was because we had already hit something in Gibraltar when we were learning how to sail, and I thought we hit a whale. And so I saw what our instructor did, which was good because I knew how to react. So I pulled the floorboard, looked at the bilge, nothing there. I mean, it took us like a good half an hour before we started to think rationally again after that.
Yeah, it was pretty scary actually, but we called a friend of ours.
Nothing happened.
We called a friend of ours and told him what happened, and he said, "Were you under sail?" "No." "Did the boat stop?" "No." He's like, "You're fine." So when we pulled the boat that winter, we checked and everything was okay. So yes, and I think that's a rite of passage. I'm not saying everybody should ground their boat, but I think that you should not be afraid of having things like that happen because
yes, you should. It's bad.
Yeah, but they happen to so many things happen to so many people. Even the best sailors in the world have things like that happen. So that's one thing I've learned actually is like we're all gonna make mistakes out there. So just as long as nobody gets hurt, it's gonna be okay.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think that the first year when we made mistakes, we were really hard on ourselves. We thought that we were just so bad. Yeah. And that we should maybe not be on the sailboat at all. And eventually, well, you learn from your mistakes. And and I think that now we're a lot better about accepting that sometimes, like...
It just happens.
It just happens. And all you can do is to deal with the situation and
move on.
Move on, learn from it.
Yeah.
Someone asked, that was a good question, kind of a change topic. Hannes asked, are you ever thinking about YouTubing in French? And, well, Hannes, I did one video in French, and I think I was lynched by...
the Facebook mob lynched Sophie.
Like, dislike, unsubscribe. But I'm sad because I think that it was fun to do videos in French. But yeah, well, so maybe in the future I will, but I think I'll try to have them like not on the regular upload or something like that. And Stylist, which is here every week. Yeah, thank you. How do you edit your video so fast and so nicely? Other YouTube channels are slow with it.
Should I answer this?
Okay, go ahead.
So, as one of our videos pointed out, this videoing is a bit of contention on the boat. But that said, I've always said Sophie does a really good job, as I think other people agree. But we could probably make a video about how much work goes into these videos. So I would say Sophie sits in front of her computer for at least 2, sometimes 3 days straight for maybe 12 hours a day, sometimes longer, and just edits. So when you see one of those videos, when you see one of her videos come out, she's done all the filming which takes tons of time, and then probably starts in front of the computer at about Saturday night, and we'll sit there and edit Sunday and Monday, and sometimes late into Tuesday to get the videos out. So they're a ton of work for her, but she's very diligent about a schedule.
But it's fun. I really love it. It's so much fun. It's like, can you imagine, guys, if you were to live a really fun adventure and like you get to relive it like that much? It's so, I think it's so cool. I love doing it. And someone asked us when we're gonna start sailing again next year. Mm-hmm. We're gonna start sailing in March, I think, is the plan. And yeah, I don't know how much of a break we will be taking as to the videos, but there will be a bit of a break. But next year we will definitely continue because I'm having way too much fun with them to stop.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So somebody just asked, John G asked, how do you keep fit?
We don't.
We don't.
We don't. That's how we do it.
We should have taken before and after photos. It's really quite difficult to
focus. Yeah.
It's really quite difficult to.
Look how sharp we are now. Yeah.
It's really quite difficult to stay fit on the boat. But what we do is we do a lot of running when we're on shore, And then we have a TRX, so that's it's just some bands that we hang them off the mast and use your body weight to do different exercises, and that's how we do resistance training. And that's where the TRXs work pretty well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
When we use it.
I'm not really diligent. I think it's hard to keep the motivation to keep fit.
Yeah.
So the answer is we don't really keep fit.
But that said, I think that we eat a lot better on this boat because like a lot of places we've gone, there've been really good markets, so vegetables and fruits there. So a lot of times we go to the vegetable markets, it's pretty inexpensive, and you end up like making some really good dishes. So
oh yeah, the food.
we eat pretty well. So we're not working out as much, but I think we're eating a little bit better. Maybe except for me when I'm on watch and I'm eating potato chips.
You
and
eat potato chips all the time. Yeah. All the time.
My Achilles heel.
From 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning, Ryan eats chips. I can spend 5 hours cooking the most delicious of French meals. Ryan will still prefer the pizza.
That's true.
This is a true statement.
Pizza is awesome.
Okay, back to sailing. Are you guys going to the Caribbean? I sure hope so.
Mm-hmm. I think we'd like to.
Yeah, it's always been part of the plan. I think when we first started thinking about sailing, we really wanted to cross the Atlantic. I think that for me, it would be an enormous achievement. You know, crossing the Atlantic, for me, it's this big thing. And yes, I definitely want to see the Caribbean. But for the next 2 years, I think, we'll see, maybe it's only 1. Maybe it's 3, maybe, I don't know. But we're going to be in the Med. But yes, I would definitely like to go to the Caribbean. Someone asked if we wanted to go to Australia. I also do want to Australia. Okay, if we're going to go like this, guys, I'm going to tell you my ideal plan for sailing. It is a 10 years plan. And it goes all around the world through Australia, and it involves us buying another boat, I think, at some point. And my absolute dream is to go sail to Japan. And I don't know if we'll ever make it there, but that's, yeah. I would like to go around the UK. I think the UK is a beautiful place. Then I would like to cross the Atlantic, go to the Caribbean, take the Panama Canal, and then go down to Australia. I have no idea if this is feasible, by the way. It's just, you know, look at a map, where do I want to go? And then from Australia, I go up to Japan, and then take Southeast Asia, and go to Madagascar, and around Africa, to South Africa. And
you want to go everywhere.
I kind of want to go everywhere. Mm-hmm.
So, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
So, we had a question here about internet and staying connected. So
that's another pain point.
Yeah, so that's a challenge. But so what we did for internet is they just changed the EU data laws, which has been pretty good. So with our Swedish data plans, we can use pretty much all of our data throughout Europe. So we made our plans bigger, as big as we could, and we've been using 4G primarily to stay in contact with the world. And then to make it better, what we did is we bought a system from Yacht Connect. They have a 4G extender system that's worked really well. We've been able to use it, I think 25 miles offshore is how far we've gotten the 4G signal. And then we also have a Wi-Fi extender, but we haven't really used it that much because our 4G's been good. The only problem we've had is the amount of data that's being used by Sophie for uploading videos and pictures and things. So I think that's okay. In October, we ran out of data in 4 days. 4 days. So that wasn't good, and we had to find some solutions there. But
that happened.
Yeah, that's how we deal with data right now. That will probably change once we leave Europe. What's next? Your turn to find a question.
I'm such a clown. Yes, that's a very accurate statement. How does Sophie fight seasickness? What is the best for her? That's a very good question. When we left Stockholm and all the way down to Brittany, I was very seasick. I was seasick every day, almost. and I think I found that the best way to avoid, like, to not be seasick is to not be seasick. It sounds stupid when I say it. But sleeping, drinking water, eating food, staying out, preventing seasickness is the best seasickness cure. And one thing that I found works really well for me, I know that it doesn't work as well for everybody, but it's called a scopoderm patch. So sometimes in the video you will see me with a funky looking patch behind my ear, and that's what I use against seasickness, and it has never failed me. It's really good. That said, I don't know if you remember, maybe if you've watched the videos from earlier this season, I tried those seasickness glasses. Do you remember those?
Do you still have them on the boat?
Yes, they're right here.
Oh God.
They do not work.
They don't work.
I really
I
wanted
could have told
them.
you that when you found them in the store.
Do you wanna
No,
go get
I
them?
don't. No.
And they were so good. They look really dorky, but they were like glasses that were supposed to give you like a horizon line in your field of vision. They do not work, and I tried them crossing Biscay when the sea state started to go up. I went in the cabin, I read a book. I was seasick in 2 seconds, and that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bad decision making on my part.
Yeah, So one question from Richard, and I think this is a good question for both of us right here. Do you think that it's worth all of the effort and time for YouTube videos against the cost and time of enjoying your sailing?
I don't see it this way. Like, for me, making those videos is part of it. It's something that I really enjoy. Like, someone would enjoy writing. Well, I really enjoy making those videos. I think that for the last 10 years, I've dedicated my life to working at a job that I did not really enjoy. And for the first time in my life, I get to do something that I really, really, really want to do. And I don't have to care about what other people think. Or all I have to care about is, am I having fun with this or not? And so it is a lot of time, but it's so much fun.
I mean, it's it's not always easy with the videos, as we've discussed, but one of the great things that's happened from it is just the connection of people. So yeah, there is a cost of Sophie working on those videos and me working a lot so she can have time to work on those videos, but the ability to meet all the people like you guys that are spending your Tuesday mornings or Tuesday evenings with us here and asking questions and showing an interest and caring, that's super valuable, and I don't think you can put a price on that. Really. We've met such cool people just because that we would have never met from this video. So even being in this marina, every now and then we get like Instagram messages. Oh, hey, like, you're here. We've been here for a few days. Like, let's go have a beer.
Yeah, it's been
So
like you
really
guys
worth
are
it.
really, really, really awesome. And going through the chat, I see a lot of names that we've been seeing over the last 6 months, and it's so cool. I hope that, you know, I would really like one day to be able to meet all of you. That would be a lot of fun.
No, so I think that's worth it, and just the communities. It's a good community. We've talked about that a lot of times. Like, Sophie and I have been very conscious about the content that we put on the channel in terms of not trying to copy other channels out there. So it's not a bikini channel. It's a channel that's supposed to be.
That is not true, guys. That is not true. It is a bikini channel, except you will see Ryan.
I'm in a bikini.
Wearing a bikini.
But it's not that. It's a channel that's supposed to be about. You know, the actual adventure and the good and the bad. And because of that, we've created I think a really fun community, and everyone's been super engaging with it and really supportive. It's been nice. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Okay, guys, it's been an hour almost.
Yeah, but let's take a few more.
Okay.
Let's take a few more.
See, that's the thing. It's been challenging to spend so much time filming and editing. Ryan has not always understood why I would do that or even enjoyed it. And I think that a lot of people wondered how much you enjoyed being in front of the camera? Answer, not a lot. But
There's a logical explanation for why I don't like to be in front of the
Okay.
camera. I don't need to explain it here, but
but
I'm in front of. Look, I'm in front.
It's
So I
true,
can sit in front
and
of the
you're
camera.
you're great. He's smiling.
See, I do smile. I do have a personality, so I'm not a stiff like some people.
No, but
seem to
I
think.
think that what's cool is that, I mean, no, you don't come across as the most. How can I put this in a nice way? Maybe I can't. But you don't always smile enough in front of the camera. But you do really enjoy the community. Like
Yeah.
Ryan reads all the comments, and yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes I know more of the stats about the channel than you
Yeah,
do.
that's crazy. I don't know. I don't watch that. No, what I was thinking is that it's been an hour, and I think that someone suggested
That we go for 2. No,
that we.
they did. And look, we're at 2:30 now.
We're-
I'm just trying to find a few more like good questions here. I
No,
mean,
I
all
think
of your
that-
questions are
I
good.
think that what we should do is to start.
Okay, so
He's gonna hate me for this.
okay.
You have a big head. This looks good.
I'm just trying to see if there's any. Oh, here's a question. Do we have bikes with us? Do we have bikes with us, Sophie?
Why do we not have bikes with us?
So Sophie has been trying to get me to get bikes on the boat for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I am dragging my feet on the bike thing. I think that there's some days that it would be really nice to have folding bikes, but I think they take a lot of space, and it's space we just don't have right now. But maybe I changed my mind. We shall see. But no, we don't have bikes.
Mm-hmm. When we started this, on the topic of bikes, when we started this sailing project, before we even bought the boat, Ryan bought foldable kayaks,
Which we don't have with us.
which he thought would be a very good idea for us to be on the boat with us. It's a good idea. I really enjoy that idea, except that those foldable kayaks are back in Stockholm in our basement.
Because we don't have enough space.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We can attach the folding bikes to the arch. That's a suggestion.
Yes, we could also attach the kayaks to the arch.
Yeah, we could. We
See?
could do that.
Like so many applications for this arch.
Oh, one question. I saw, it was like probably 45 minutes ago, but I just remembered it. Somebody asked, is a 45-foot, do we think, this is us, do we think a 45-foot boat is too big for 2 people? What do you think about that?
I know what you're gonna say. I think that the thing with a 45-foot boat, if I could have a 45-foot boat, I would have a 45-foot boat. The cost of ownership of a 45-foot boat is a lot higher than 40 foot. I think that you should go with what you're comfortable with. And 45 foot, I mean, we live in 40 foot. I think it's great. I think it's the perfect size for us. But we've seen people cruising on
We've seen
way
couples
less.
on, way less.
And
we've
way
seen
more.
Way more. We've seen a couple on a 55-foot boat. In fact, it's just down here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do it both, but yeah, Sophie's right. Cost of ownership, especially when you go above 40 foot, really goes up. But like we've talked about, is it maybe we should look at a 45-foot boat? And I think the reality is, as soon as you get a 45-foot boat, you're going to start thinking about a 47-foot boat, and then you're going to start thinking about a 50-foot boat.
Yeah.
It's never going to be enough space. So you need to figure out what you're comfortable with in terms of maneuvering and sailing first. Work with that and then go from there. That's just my advice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Here's one. Have you ever been woken up at night because of the anchor moving?
Not.
We have not drug anchor yet, but the first time we ever anchored, which was in 0 knots of wind and completely calm seas in a very well protected natural harbor, I don't think I slept. That was the first time we anchored. I don't think I slept at all that night. I was so worried about dragging.
So ridiculous.
But it turned out we didn't even really know how to anchor properly back then. But now we have a pretty good system in terms of how we set the anchor, and usually when it comes time to pull the anchor up, it's really well dug in. So I've always felt pretty confident that the anchor is set well. This winter we would like to upgrade the anchor to a spade, but we need to put it on the priority list for cost reasons. So we'll be juggling that with a few other things, but I would like to get a little bit bigger anchor this winter, just so we have a little bit more peace of mind. So
yeah. Peace of mind is expensive on a boat.
Yeah. So no, we haven't drug yet, but I'm sure someday we will. So it's just about making sure the anchor's set right, and then if you think that the winds are getting up high and you're questioning if it's holding well, to start doing an anchor watch. Okay.
Peter asked the question. Hello, Peter. Cost aside, what would be your all-time dream boat?
I don't know if I can answer this anymore, because my view, I think, has changed in the last month.
So 2 months ago, our dream boat was a boat called the Garcia Exploration 45. And it's a beautiful boat, aluminium hull, and it's so well thought out. And
it really is, yeah. It's an awesome boat.
Yeah, it's beautiful, it's great, and it's so cheap, as you can imagine.
So cheap.
Yeah.
We would really love to have one of those. I think it's, yeah, like Sophie said, it's super well thought out. It's really good design. We've been on them. We've been to the factory.
Yes.
The people and the company are really great. So that would be one. However, I think about a month ago, I caught a look at the new Haliburassi 44.
Yes.
And I am now torn between the two boats. Both of them are very expensive, so I don't think we'll be owning one anytime soon. But those are my boats. Although Peter would go with the 52, it looks like.
Yeah.
But the water.
Yeah. Marco asked, do you think a water maker is a good investment? Yes. We do not currently have one, and it is a bit of a limitation. When we're at Anchorage, we're always thinking about how much water we have and when we're going to have to go get water, go to port, or find water somehow. So a water maker is something that we're looking at getting. They do not come cheap, and so I think that we're going to wait. I think that we're going to wait until we get a water maker. Because the cruising kitty probably needs a bit of an expansion before.
This winter, I don't think we'll have enough in the cruising kitty for an arch, new cushions, and an anchor.
Yeah, of all things, we're getting new cushions made, but
yeah.
Oh well.
Leonard asked, "Do you need to change the charger to charge the lithium batteries?" I'm not going to answer that question because we are going to make a series of videos on the lithium batteries. So we will have a question, a first kind of video about lithium in general, and then we're going to do an install video on how we install, and hopefully I can answer some of those questions. So yeah, it's a good question. Stand by.
Mark is like, put on a bikini and raise your legs and everything is possible for your dream boat. Yeah, that's true. But that's not the way I want to buy my boat. So yeah, we'll probably work. No, I think. What do you think? Should we continue taking a few questions
a few more,
and then wrap it up?
We can go till 8.
We thought, but it is 8.
Oh, we can go till 9.
It is. Oh my God, is it 9 already?
Then we have to go get tacos.
We were so late. Wow, I must say I'm so impressed by how many people are with us. I feel extremely conscious about.
There's a comment here about cost as exponential function to the boat length, and I agree with that.
Yes.
That statement. So that is true. It definitely gets way more expensive.
Leonard asked, that's a good question. What is the cost for the new batteries?
Yeah, but that's going to be in the videos.
There's going to be a video about the lithium batteries.
It's going to be videos.
Can we answer it already?
No, because no.
Okay.
It's all part of the videos. I got a plan. You wanted me to be involved more, so this is fun.
You are so excited about doing this lithium battery video. You are.
I am a bit excited about it.
Yes. Okay, should you go down, see
Yeah.
if there are
Any other? If you got a good question, I mean they're all good, but if you have a one that's really burning in your soul, type it now so we can see.
were your family
yeah.
supportive of your plan? Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to start with yours?
Yeah, my family was, I would say. Yeah, I can't say anything bad about my family. They've always been super supportive. So I left home at 18 to go to college, where I was going to go to flight school, which was, it's not what people normally do. They were supportive of that. After college, I told them I was going to join the military, which was not something standard in our family. They were really supportive of that. Then I told them I was going to move to Seattle in like 2 weeks, and they helped me pack up the car. We did that. And then moved to DC, and then I told them I'm moving to Sweden, and they were supportive of that. But I think this particular case stretched my father maybe just a little bit, because I think a few months before that I told him I was quitting my job and going to start my own business, and that wasn't the path he took. So he had some questions for me about that and if that was the smartest plan. And then a few months later I told him I was going to buy a yacht. So on the surface, probably looked like I was being a little irresponsible. But that said, both my dad and my mom were really, really supportive of this, and they still are. They've been on the boat. Yeah, I can't complain at all. They've been really, really great through the. How about you?
I'll just say my family was like, what? and that's the extent of it.
Our friends were. They had some questions about.
Our friends were probably the most like questiony / like, yeah, right.
They had some questions about our thinking. I think most of them thought we were just kind of blowing smoke, and but then when we actually bought the boat, it was like, oh, these guys might actually be doing, because we did it pretty quick.
But to be fair, when we told our friends about our plans to buy a boat, we had met on Tinder 3 months before.
Yeah.
So yeah, credibility in that, maybe not the highest. Disco asked if I still carry Ultimate Frisbee disc on board, and I do. Are most marinas med mooring, or is that just what us Americans think? We are not that far in the med, so we can't really answer that question, but we will follow up on that. Let's see. I saw one good. Someone asked if there is a Steadicam coming. I hope so. They do not come cheap, but it will be fun to have one.
What's a Steadicam? Like one of these gimbal things?
Yeah, like a Steadicam is kind of a gimbal.
I was going to get you that.
Oh, really?
But you said no.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it. Cat or mono? Mono.
We talked about catamarans a lot actually after our first season. But after looking at them quite a bit, I think we've decided that the new catamarans that are out, the booms are so high in the air. If you go stand on a catamaran today and try to get up on the boom, you're like 10 meters in the air. It's crazy. So going offshore with like a production catamaran, for me, if something goes wrong with the mainsail and you're up on that boom that's like 10 meters in the air, I think that's not what I would enjoy.
Yeah. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Both.
Oh.
Winter plans will include the boat or back to work. We are actually traveling. We're going to be in Iowa for about 3 months. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a little meet and greet in Iowa. So if you're
around Iowa in mid-January, what was the date? The 19th?
Yes.
Around Des Moines in the 19th, we're going to have a meet and greet and answer some questions and do a bit of a presentation. There'll be some more details sent out on that later. So yeah, all are welcome.
Have you ever felt unsafe on a production boat? Well, to be very frank, we haven't been on
that
many other boats. We have never been in a situation that had made us feel unsafe, and I think that our boat is...
Well, we've never been in a proper storm, and we've never been in a survival situation. But in the situation we have, I think we felt safe in this boat the whole time.
Yeah.
So the boats are built really well, and I think the quote that I heard from a friend was, "The boat can take a lot more than you can." So I always keep that in the back of my mind, and that's pretty true, unless you get into a fight with another boat.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Go Hawks! And Arthur makes a comment about how Outremer is just like the Beneteau when it comes to the ace of the boom, which is what just happened? Did Larry bout us a beer? Oh my god! Oh my god! Well, thank you, Larry. After this much talking, I will actually enjoy a beer. Yeah, so Outremer is just like a Benito when it comes to that, and it's true. Like some catamarans are not as high as.
No, especially a lot of older ones. They're a lot lower, which would be more interesting for us. But I think the monohulls, and we have a couple ones that we really like picked out. We need to find a way to make some money
Do comments. I realized that Germany was the greatest place you visited, but how much of its country cultural impression are you able to experience? Actually, a lot, because experiencing a country by the sea, well, you typically get to see places that are, I mean, some of them are touristy, but some of them are like really not, and so you really get to blend in. Getting to the supermarket for me is the ultimate cultural experience. And so, yeah, we do really enjoy getting in contact with a lot of different culture.
I think, like, just to go on that a little bit more, when you're on vacation in a place, you're on vacation. So typically you go there, you're eating at restaurants, you're kind of going in the tour guide boat. But when we show up in port, like, we go to the grocery store right away. We maybe have to go find a chandlery, or sometimes we go to like a hardware store. And like when we got to Spain, do you remember when we got to northern Spain and we were trying to get a lock for the dinghy?
Oh
And
my god.
We were in a hardware store trying to talk to this guy in Spanish and to tell him that we needed this lock and we needed a wire made. And it was a huge, and like yesterday we were up mailing some of these hats to people who had bought them, and at the post office, and it took us an hour to mail 3 hats.
We even get a beautiful box for one of the people.
Got a beautiful box, Superman.
Sigmund asked.
Hold on.
sorry.
So my point is that when you're on the boat, you're forced to get into the culture, as opposed to when you're on vacation. You can kind of bypass some of the culture. And you can decide what you want to see, but here we're really forced to get into it, and it's led to some interesting situations, but it's been really fun.
But I've decided that I'm going to learn Spanish.
Sophie's going to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
I suck with languages, so I'll just use the hand signals and stuff.
And English.
In English.
Sigmund asked a very critical question.
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to do with the plant when we leave the boat.
That's a good question, actually.
I don't know. This plant means so much to us in this community. I don't know. We have to keep it alive. Now it's part of our story.
It is part of our story, actually.
It has a name. Like one of you guys' name is Brian, and he was making a lot of comments about the plant. So we decided to name the plant Brian. So here you go. But we don't know what we're going to do with Brian yet when we leave.
We might have to find a local, and so if anyone lives close to Miramar, let us know so you can take care of Brian for
Guys, thank you so much for the people who buy us beers at the moment. It's
really unnecessary, really.
Thank you so much.
Nice. Ryan, did you sail the Pacific Northwest before Sweden? The answer is no, I didn't. In fact, when I was in Seattle, I did very little of the outdoor stuff. I wasn't into mountain climbing, I wasn't into rock climbing, I wasn't into sailing. And then when I left, I got into all of that, and it turns out that part of the world was just perfect for all the things that I ended up really enjoying. So, no, I should have taken advantage of it. So maybe someday we go back. Let's do 2 more questions. How
yes,
about that?
I am going to start a YouTube channel for Brian.
Are you going to do that? You're going to make a Brian YouTube?
Why not?
I think you should do an Instagram account. Let's just see here. 2 more questions.
Pacific Ocean soon. No, not soon, but yeah, I would like the Pacific Ocean. I think that's it. We've been live for 1 hour 20
But
minutes.
I'm having fun with this. This is really great.
It's crazy.
Oh, here's one.
Are you worried about leaving your
Well-
boat unattended for 3 months? Yeah, I am actually.
We are a bit worried about that.
Especially since we're being so public about where it is.
Yeah, we have some people keeping an eye on it though here, so
Yeah.
we think we're in pretty good hands. So
Yes.
but well, all our important stuff's with us. So
Yeah.
one question here that's a good one. How do you receive post and packages while sailing? And is it possible to order stuff to the marinas? Good question. So the mail situation is a very complex mess. So we still get post sent to our apartment in Sweden. Our tenants put that post in a box or a bag for us, pass it to our neighbors, and in which case we somehow coordinate a big exchange of that. So and then usually it consists of our neighbor opening our mail for us and then taking pictures of it and sending it to us. Regarding packages, we do get packages sent to marinas, and it works fairly well.
Yes, lately we received a lithium battery
We
that was
received
like
a gigantic. It was 52 pounds.
52 pounds, and that Ryan walked all the way back from the boat. The marina office is 15 minutes from the boat.
My forearms hurt today.
Good job.
That's how we work.
High five.
That's how we work out on the boat. So yes,
Yeah.
you can get packages delivered to the marinas. It's no problem.
Yeah. Mark says, I hope your data is not all gone now. It probably will.
No,
but...
it's been under a gig.
Oh,
it
wow.
even keeps track.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that is...
That's why I'm like, we can just go
that
for it.
is cool. Hey, that's Andy there. Andy, you're only 1.5 hours late. It's okay. We were 15 minutes late. Yeah. But Bahamas. Yes, Bahamas.
That'd be nice, huh?
Bahamas sounds good. Oh, and Orange is home. Orange is Neil and Claire's Cavapoo. It's so cute. So cute.
Okay. Any more questions for us right now? Post them really quick. We're gonna.
You said that 20 minutes.
I know, but I'm having fun with this, and there's some good questions, and people want answers.
Oh, Mia's there. Awesome.
I think you should answer this one here.
Okay. What about Patreon?
No. Well, you can answer that too, but the next one too.
How long have you been editing videos? I started editing video in March this year. And did you start with this channel? Yes, I very much started with this channel. And Patreon, I am still mixed about that. So it's still a question that I can't answer. On one hand, I really like the idea of being really free and do what it is that I want to do with this channel. On the other hand, there is a lot of equipment that I would like to buy, such as a new microphone or a Steadicam. And I don't know yet.
She's very confused about Patreon, so
yeah.
Well, you guys can keep talking to her about that.
Software for editing, Premiere Pro.
Okay, we got a question from 59 North Sailing. That's Andy, and so I talked about this already in the video or in the Q&A about what I've learned a lot about myself, which was stress. But Andy mentions here, talk about stress. Let's talk about stress, Ryan. And I think his point is really this, is that sailing can be really stressful. And I think that it doesn't get talked about enough between other sailors. So I think everyone's got a lot of fears. So it's a male-dominated world, and a lot of men don't like to talk about the stress and the fears that they have. And even though that they're real and they're there, and it's good to talk about them. So I think that's what Andy's asking is how do we deal with that? How do we work with it? And I've met some good people, good friends, Andy included, that I've been able to kind of be a sounding board for me and I a sounding board for them along this adventure on how to deal with our stresses as we've been going. And it's really helped out a lot, because when you have a bad day or you've been just super stressed, you have someone to talk to and you realize you're not alone. So that's also a suggestion. If you are taking on this big adventure, to find somebody you can talk to about things and at least just be able to vent a little bit and have somebody understand where you're coming from, because it's really, really beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Also, Andy has a great podcast. If you do not know On the Wind, it's the perfect thing to listen to when you're on a night watch. Thanks, Andy, for that. Sometimes the boat is too small for a relationship to get out of the way. Yes, it is very much the case. I think that the size of the boat has been one of the biggest challenge in our relationship, and we're so close, so much time, so often that yes, but it's the boat. It could be any other small space, and in the end, all the struggle that we're experiencing because we live on a small space and or we're tired or adjusting, it's worth the reward. And yes, we do experience struggles because the boat is small, but what we get to experience together in the good times is
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing that I've ever experienced.
I think we're still trying to learn to work with the small space. So we've had some suggestions from people on having your little seat, where if the person's in the seat or in their little room, that you don't bother them. And we're still trying to learn what space is Sophie's and what space is mine, and when not to say something and when to say something. So it's a learning process. The key is communication, wouldn't you say? Like if you can just talk, and like sometimes we yell at each other and sometimes we run away, but I think we always end up at the end of it talking and talking it through. Even if it takes an hour, if it takes 4 hours, we always just keep talking and keep talking. Keep talking.
And sometimes we're better at talking than other times, and sometimes you're better than me. But I think that in the end, it's it was a good experience.
Does Ryan wear a French weenie bikini?
Yes.
No, I wear like
not yet.
I wear like crappy surf swim trunks from 1999.
Not yet. Do you watch other sailing YouTube channel? We have done in the past, and that's actually how we got inspired to sail at all. We used to watch a lot of La Vagabonde, of Delos, but these days we don't really have time to watch. And this is like honesty hour. I'm really self-conscious about my videos, so sometimes watching other YouTube channels makes me like really, really self-conscious about what it is that I create. So for that reason, I haven't watched a lot of other sailing YouTube channel. Yes. Okay.
When is Ryan getting a haircut?
No. I love your hair. It's so good. When you're feeling seasick, what do you enjoy eating for meals? Typically, I like stuff that's, I don't know how it's gonna sound stupid, but I like healthy stuff. Lemon. I love lemon. Lemon when I'm seasick is one of the best things that I know. Ginger. Hummus, carrots, like vegetables and stuff. There is a, wow. There is. I'm just mind blown by what is going on in the chat at the moment. Well, thank you again, guys, for all this beer that we're going to be able to drink tonight after this live stream. Okay, let's see. Do you think Brian likes beer? We've never tried.
I don't think.
I doubt he does.
But Brian has really. I know there was a lot of concern about Brian falling off the table and injuring us or injuring himself. I don't think the plant has fallen once.
Nope.
It hasn't fallen once.
My laptop has. My camera has many times.
Your laptop's fallen twice and it's left a hole in the floor. Yeah. I'm not sure how it's still working. Your camera has fallen from the top of the companionway like 3 times. Mm-hmm. Brian has never fallen.
No.
It's crazy. Anyways.
Okay. Yes, it will turn up where I can hear it too. Are you all French? Are all French girls as adorable and fun as you? I don't know. I would like to say yes, but I don't know.
Well.
Okay, should we call it a night?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, before we call it a night, I think that we should wear those hats. Who do you want to be, the captain or the pirate?
Well, yeah, I can be pirate.
You can be the pirate. I can be the captain.
I'm actually gonna be the polar seal.
I cannot believe that we've been talking straight for 1.5 hours. This has been amazing.
It's been really good. The interaction with everybody has been awesome tonight. So maybe we do this. Maybe we should do this again.
Oh, we will do this again. This has been a lot of fun. And again, as much as I've enjoyed creating those videos that has brought us together tonight in this place, what I've enjoyed the most is connecting with all of you. You're an incredible community, and I didn't even know that you could give money to people on YouTube like this. I am absolutely mind blown. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
And yeah, what else?
No, it's been great. So appreciate everyone's interaction and support. And maybe in a week or two, we do this again, because I'm sure there's a lot of great questions. But in the meantime, we will take the chat and go through it and pick out questions from the chat.
Yes.
And we can start answering those on the blog, because I think there's some really good stuff there. So
yeah, that's right. This winter, until we start sailing again, I will not be producing a video on a weekly basis, but we will continue producing videos. We have a lot of things that we want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And even Ryan is going to start making video, guys.
I'm going to film them.
This is crazy.
I'm not going to produce them.
Ah bon? Anyways, guys, I cannot let my eyes away from this comment section. Thank you so much, and we will end this live stream here. It's been 1.5 hours, and it's been so much fun.
But remember, we have to end with your tagline.
Yes. Before you go, never forget to follow your dreams. Okay.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.